So what makes something a virtue? Well, it comes down to a concept of teleology. Teleology is basically the idea of goal or purpose. And basically, teleology is about what do we aim at? Or what is our purpose or function? Everything in this world has a function. Everything has a purpose. I don't know if everything does, but most things have a purpose or function. For example, a hammer has a function to drive nails. A knife has a purpose to cut. A car has a purpose to transport us. A door has a purpose to be able to hold things out, but also to let them in when you want them in. And, things like that. And so some things have more than one purpose. For example, a car has a purpose to get us places, but also has the purpose to look nice, to provide comfort, maybe shelter, in a storm, have heat and coolness, to look nice. There's a variety of things, but, it has all these different functions it can perform. And what happens is virtue is basically the function a thing has performed. And if something performs its function really well, then it's more virtuous than something that doesn't perform it well. So if we take as a knife as an example, if you have a knife that's very sharp and cuts really well, that's a more virtuous knife than a knife that's dull and you can never get it to cut anything. If you have a hammer that's head is loose and every time you swing it, it turns a little bit and you can't ever get a good strike on a nail, that's not a very virtuous hammer. A hammer that is virtuous is a hammer that has a function, or an instrument that has a function that fulfills it well. Now, what happens is everything has a function, and this function is the virtue it strives for. But the idea here is, is some things can have more than one virtue. For example, I said a car can have a virtue of getting you places, but it can also have the virtue of looking good, driving well, etc., etc. And so not everything has just one virtue. It can have multiple virtues. And that's something you have to keep in mind, that, a car can really fulfill the virtue of being reliable while not fulfilling the virtue of looking nice, while not fulfilling the virtue of other things. And so while it can focus on one virtue and do that very well, you have to also consider all the other possible virtues and make sure it fulfills those as well. And so what virtue ethics is about, finding what makes a human a good person, what is their purpose. And, there's a variety of purposes, a variety of functions, a variety of things that are virtues. And the goal is to try to fulfill those. And some things we will fulfill and other things we won't. But the goal is to continually strive to trying to increase the number of skills we have and to be the best person possible.